Gentlemen, welcome to the first podcast of 2015. Actually, it's a long time since I've done these. So, it's kind of great to be back doing it solo. My broadcast partners before that were, Matt Burke and Jacob Schmidt. I am Andrew Mecca, a.k.a. Mech, back from my wrestling days. Some of you will remember me as such. Others will not. But once again, welcome back. This is probably going to be a shorter podcast. Probably maybe only about a half hour or so. I don't really have too much to really talk about. I really don't even have a format, to be honest with you. This is kind of just something that I've kind of wanted to do, wanted to get some things off my chest, and I figured, hey, why not? I've been talking about doing it. People who have known me, I have been talking about doing one of these to come back and kind of get my feet wet again and everything like that. So it's good to be back again. Like I said, I don't really have a format, so just going to kind of play it. First thing I want to talk about, though, is I know it happened probably about a week and a half ago. The NBA Finals went to 6 games in favor of the Golden State Warriors. First and foremost, I want to say I'm not a LeBron James fan, but I'm also not a LeBron James hater. So I just want to say what LeBron was able to accomplish, even though they didn't win the NBA Finals, he was able to do for that team and with the team and who he had, being down Kevin Love, being down Kyrie Irving, and to be able to take that team to the finals. Don't get me wrong, Kyrie Irving was there of the way for, what was that, Game 1 Finals. So, LeBron didn't do it completely all by himself. But needless to say, to take that team to 6 games without Kyrie Irving and without Kevin Love really speaks volumes on what LeBron James is able to accomplish. And, do I think it was a huge disappointment and kind of a black eye on his career? Because now he's 2-6 in the NBA Finals. I think I don't necessarily want to say it's a black eye, but I still do think it's gonna still be one of those things where you look at it and say, you know what, he went to the finals, even though he was down 2 of the top guys on his team. At the end of the day, he still lost. And I don't necessarily think that that's fair to him to put that kind of blame on him for that. But the fact that he is the best player in the world and he came back to Cleveland to win a championship, he's still not going to get a free pass because they lost. So, but, from a perspective of looking at what he was able to do this postseason with everything riding on his shoulders, I have to hand it off to him, and I have to take my hat off to that guy. I mean, what he did and the numbers that he put up in the finals to try to will his way and to will that team to victory. You can say enough for what he's done. One of the things, though, I want to take away out of that is Tristan Thompson. Dellavedova, he got known as a great defensive player because of this series. And, even what he was able to accomplish against Derrick Rose and against the Atlanta Hawks, even when Kyrie was still healthy and playing, you got to say, is he a superstar caliber player? Obviously not. That's a joke to say. But what he was able to do and how he was able to open people's eyes to what he can do defensively, I think a lot of people were kind of they were surprised, and that kind of showed later on in the Atlanta series and in the Golden State series that he's not really an offensive player, because what he did against Chicago in that closeout game where I think he scored 20-some points, he was hitting all kinds of threes and all kinds of shots. To me, that was a fluke. I'm going to use that term. Don't really like to use that term, but it is what it is. His offensive game was a fluke, but I think we can all all can agree on what he was able to do defensively was not a fluke. But again, just what he was able to do in some of those key games, in the finals where he got that big rebound late and was able to close it out for him, and the free throws, the clutch free throws he was able to step up and make. I mean, this guy definitely, definitely raised some eyebrows is what I'm trying to say here. And he did well, but Tristan Thompson, wow, if there was anybody who benefited from Kevin Love's injury, it was definitely Tristan Thompson. Defensively, offensively, the offensive rebounds and the rebounding machine that this guy is, it was mind-boggling for what he did for that team coming in a big spot. And I think it opens up a lot of questions for just how much the Cavs need Kevin Love, and do they need Kevin Love? We talk about his ability to open up the floor and how they basically made him a perimeter player when he was there. And, I think the thing is, when you look at his stats this year, he didn't need to put up those kind of numbers that he did when he was with Minnesota. He was a walking double-double. I mean, we're talking big-time double-double, 20 points, 20 rebounds. And when he comes to Cleveland, his numbers, dropped off dramatically. And again, because I think that has to do with them not needing, they don't need him to put up those kind of numbers like he did. That team wasn't rested upon his shoulders this year, as in years past when he was with Minnesota. So I think when a lot of people look at him, does he still have the ability to put up those kind of numbers? I think he does. It's just the fact that he wasn't asked to do that. And does he fit that system? I don't know if his skill set, because he really is a diverse player, but it's this team. And if you look at what Tristan Thompson, that's knows, kind of that they need. That Kevin Love, do I think he's going to probably be back next year? I think he probably will be, but I think that speaks volumes to where that team really is right now and what they need. I don't necessarily think they need Kevin Love. I think Kevin team that could probably use his skill set a little bit more, because face it, there's only one ball. And when you have LeBron James, J.R. Smith, who's a shooter, you have Iman Shumpert, you got a lot of perimeter shooters already out there. And that's when they brought Kevin Love in there, was to space the floor. And sometimes I think you get in that where you have too many shooters. And I think that's kind of the situation for, Kevin Love and the Cavaliers. They really need him, and what he was able to do. He's not really a great defensive player. His rebounding has took a plummet because of all the big guys that they do have. You got, like I said, Tristan Thompson. I was just talking about his rebounding ability. Mozgov takes away from the rebounding. I just don't think that he's needed. And as far as, everything like that, but again, just want to take my hats off to the Cleveland Cavaliers for what LeBron was able to do and all that. It's going to be kind of surprising to see if they do, even if Love does come back, will they try to trade him? Will they not try to trade him? And, and then we switch gears with the Bulls. Thibodeau's gone. That's really no surprise. Everybody was talking about him leaving or being fired anyway. That did happen. And they got Fred Hoiberg. I don't really know. I think this is just more of a management play. We all know how Thibodeau didn't get along with management. And, the feeling is that Fred Hoiberg is coming in now as a first-year coach, and they brought him in just because he's going to be a management guy. He's going to be a yes man. He's going to take orders, and he's pretty much going to do whatever Paxton and Gar want. All this talk about offensive style and how he ran a fast-paced offense and all that. I don't know. That's going to be going to be kind of surprising to see. Very intriguing and interesting to see next year what he's going to be able to do offensively, because, I mean, for what the Cavaliers, as I was just talking about it, that team really was with the injuries. Kyrie was hurt in that series. I know he played, but he was hurt. There was no surprise there. I just think with the Bulls being healthy, which Joakim Noah was a little banged up, but nonetheless, I mean, the Bulls were pretty strong and pretty healthy. They should have easily, disposed of Cleveland. And even against Milwaukee, the Bulls kind of struggled, and that really kind of scared me from the beginning. I don't think that Milwaukee should have even really had against the Bulls. Again, here the Bulls much healthy, and it just didn't seem like they knew how to play team basketball. Like the chemistry, even though they played together, the whole year pretty much without any significant injuries. Yeah, he was hurt again, but he wasn't really out that long. Other than that, he was out there on the floor playing with these guys. So I don't really know why team chemistry would have been a problem, but it looked like it was. It didn't really look like they knew how to play together as a team. And, me and Matt talked about this, off the air, on the phone. We used to have conversations about this. Does this system look like it fits Derrick Rose? And we were talking about how Aaron Brooks looked like he came in and he played much better with that system. And I think it goes back to what they did last year when they were trying Carmelo Anthony over. That didn't happen, so they brought over and all that stuff. I know they were looking for a second superstar, but deeper than that, do you really think that maybe they brought these guys over because they weren't sure if Derrick Rose was going to be healthy? Wasn't going to be healthy. Would you really help save to a playoff run? I don't know. My personal opinion is I don't think that this team is to be healthy. I think with all the injuries over the few years, the career and not the career, but the injury had, it only makes sense to try to build a team. So I think that was probably a reason for why struggling so much, because I'm not sure if he's the vocal point of the offense. And kudos to Paul Gasol this year and Jimmy Butler. I mean, they stopped and it was proven that he does. And I was surprised. It made that move look great. This year, do I think he's still at that superstar level defensively? That level enough. And I don't know if he's somebody you actually build your team around. That's the problem. I don't know if he's that franchise guy. For what he's done for them this year, but am I really even a Westbrook, what he was able to do with that team when KD? I don't think, and the Bulls need that guy to lead that team. And again, it's he still feels that it is his team. He's the Chicago guy. He feels like he was brought in to be the franchise guy, but I just don't know if that's the case. Bulls ability and his health so it's going to be very intriguing, very interesting to see where we go with Fred Hoiberg and hopefully the mentality. I mean, playoffs, there were at times where they were broken down. They were worn out. I mean, they couldn't score the ball, and I think that kind of transferred over to their lack of defense. I don't want to say that they bad defense. It's just that when you play so bad on offense. I just kind of feel like they saw spurts against against the Cavaliers, where they played a great first half of basketball defensively. And it seemed like in that second half, when they couldn't generate offense, they say good defense leads to great offense, but I almost feel like bad offense led to bad defense for them. And that's very like the Bulls, because they had a really good defense. I don't really have the numbers, but I think their defensive rank was still pretty high this year. And I just hope that continues on. Fred Hoiberg brings to the Bulls, as far as offensive standpoint, I just hope that mentality that Biddle was doing for the Bulls still true for the defensive side. That's the case, can bring in a different kind of system in, and Derrick Rose, as great as he is, he has to be able to adapt, and I'm not sure if he's willing to give up that reign of whatever he needs to do. But I think it's clear that he's not meshing with this team, and a great player has to be able to adapt, but it's also the coaching staff. And this is another thing I said before, it's the coaching staff that has to, be able to find to get everybody to incorporate. It's pretty much 50. The coaches have to be able to set the game plan up, players buy into it in order for it to actually work. So you just have a lot of questions going into next season, and pretty much how this team's gonna what kind of moves they're gonna make. I mean, I'm hearing some moves that they're maybe possibly Taj Gibson. I don't know really what you can get from him. Joakim Noah, his health now, I don't really know what they're gonna be willing to give up for him. But if they're gonna make any, I just don't really see any significant move made with the way this roster is built right now. So it's almost like, what can we do that we have? Because for the majority, we know whoever puts Jimmy Butler and gives him a contract, the Bulls are most certainly going to match it. It's just a matter of how much it's going to be. And are they even going to have any room at all in the offseason to maybe even get any free agents? I just don't see, I don't see having real ability and as far as moving guys around. And if that's the case, it all goes back down to Derrick Rose. How does he fit into this new system? Do the guys buy into the new system? Who's the franchise player? Can we get everybody to mesh together and actually play some team ball? Because like I said, I just think that the chemistry is off. It's bad. And I just don't know if everybody obviously didn't buy into Thibodeau's system and everything like that. And we're just going to have to see if a first-year coach is going to be able to get these guys to buy in. And I think it's going to be just like Steve Kerr. It's going to have a lot to do with who Fred Hoiberg brings on board. What kind of coaching staff can he bring in to, help run the show? And I don't really know if it's going to be – personality-wise, I think he's going to be able to do fine, and I think the players are going to like him. But as far as liking him and having respect to buy into what he's selling, to me, it's two different things. You can get them to like you and be all buddy-buddy and listen to you and all, but can you get them to really listen to you when you're out there executing on the court? So it's just a lot of questions. And we'll definitely where that goes. And what else? What else is there to really talk about? Jay Cutler not wanting to be a Bear. Not really wanting to be a Bear, but I heard about it a couple weeks back by him and his wife, or his wife saying that Chicago isn't home, but California isn't somewhere that Jay Cutler wants to live. I think it's more or less, I don't know, I think people are reading into that a little bit too much. He just doesn't live here during the off season. So As far as him not actually wanting to play here, I don't know if you can read into that and say that just because his wife said Chicago doesn't feel like home doesn't necessarily mean that that's the case. Again, I just think that that's people reading a little bit too much into it. Um, it's just the area, I guess. I guess he stays down, or they're staying down in Nashville, or whatever the situation may be. Nonetheless, um, that's also what I heard around what's going on. Also, I want to give out a shout out to Dusty Rhodes. Dream last week. I know we debated about who was the best promo cutter and all that stuff. Dusty Rhodes was way before my time, and it's hard for me to comment on really who he was and what kind of wrestler he was and all that, but just for what he did for the industry in general, there's no denying how big of a following he had, how many supporters he had. He's a Hall of Famer, which speaks for itself. And everything you hear about Dusty, it's all positive. Even from when he was, just recently, being on, working in the gym and in the training center uh, with the guys and everything, and how he was trying to help out the young talent, how to cut promos and all that stuff. Everything was positive. It meant so much in the industry. That he passed. There really was no signs of it. There really wasn't anything where he was battling any kind of cancer, battling any kind of health that I knew about. But definitely, my condolences go out to Woods, and just and he will definitely be truly missed in the wrestling business. What else do we got going on here? Probably gonna wrap this up soon. Anything else that I can think? Cubs are doing good. About a couple weeks, about maybe a couple 3 weeks away from the All-Star game. Cubs are doing really well. Chris Bryant's been doing phenomenal. White Sox, not so much. It's kind of been a surprise on the South side that they haven't been. Both teams, coming into this season had highs. Obviously, the Cubs, every year they have high hopes, but this year especially, new owner. I mean, not new ownership, but the management, and bringing in Lester and getting Bryant to come up, and you still have Rizzo and still have Starlin Castro, and you got Addison Russell who's come up. They're high, fair that they're. I mean, the Cardinals are obviously doing very well, and they always have Central still. But I think the Cubs have a fairly good shot at the wild card, and if they get in, hey, to me that's going to be a first year regime. With John Madden and all that, and I just think he's done really well for the players, and how well he works with them, and how well he gets along with the players. He's more of a player manager, kind of like what Oskian was for the White Sox a couple of years back. So again, I'm not expecting huge things for the Cubs. I'm just expecting pretty solid year, at least contend for a wild card spot, and to me that'll be a good successful first year, and then next year I think is when you really could expect a big push from him. And like for the White Sox, we'll see what happens. Definitely been disappointing as of yet. We're almost a little less than halfway. So I mean, there's still a lot of time to try to make some headway, and at least try to turn the ship around, so to speak. in the next month or two to see where both these teams go, in the season. Football will still kind of a ways away, but when you get into August, then you could start expecting some preseason football and all that stuff. So that'll be kind of nice. Also, want to say, been to Vegas and already. Not really sure where to go again. And probably I want to go back to both places actually, but if you guys haven't been to Vegas, it was the first time I've been there since I've turned 21. Great freaking time. Their pool is great. The clubs there are great. Strip is very expensive, but needless to say, I really enjoyed myself out there. So if you guys ever plan on going anywhere like that, please do. Again, this is my first pod. I want to send a shout out network. If you for buddy Jake Schmidt, he has his podcast on there every Tuesday and Thursday nights. It's called the Truly Schmitty Show, where he kind of sports and anything else that he throws up there, and all that stuff. Also, you'll find the Thursday Night Thunder with Max Holiday, Santana Starks, pretty much a wrestling for all the big-time wrestling guys out there. They do that Thursday nights. Also, Monday is the Ha Pod. I said the Ha. What the hell I said? It's the Ha Pod. Check that out on Monday nights. All those guys are my friends, so I love shooting a shout out to them. They do a great job. Also, you'll be able to listen to, they stream their podcast 24/7, and pretty much a recap of all their podcasts. They're all this on there and do their thing on there. It's really cool. I've definitely do it when I get a chance, and they're fun guys to listen to. I'm out. Keep you guys updated on when ever I get a chance to do it. Again, tuning in if you guys do. I really appreciate it, and I will see you guys later. Great week. I'll talk to you guys later. Have a good one.